We ask questions all day, asking for advice from our friends, asking for information when we learn, asking for help with a project, or just asking for agreement from our colleagues so we can get on with the task. We're asking the question because we want an answer, but sometimes our questions are so badly phrased that it is impossible to answer. We just create so much friction for the responder, and that friction makes it too difficult for them to answer, so instead they just don't bother. Use a good structure and framework to make sure that the questions you ask actually get an answer that you want. Here's how I ensure that I ask smart questions so that I get useful answers using my adaptive query framework. What you really want to do is avoid asking bad questions. I have asked bad questions before, and once the question's out, I just think, what on earth was I expecting? And I've also been on the receiving end of bad questions. This works both ways, whether it's in a conversation, verbal, face-to-face, or even via email. A bad question is something like, I've had X idea for a project, what do you think? Or, here's my problem, what's your advice? The problem with questions like this is that firstly, there's no context, so you just get lumped with a problem. It's impossible to answer. They don't respect the recipient's time, so there's no acknowledgement that actually you're going to have to spend time thinking about this and answering it. It would be better if we could just make it easier for the person that we're asking the question to. And the third problem with bad questions is that they just transfer the responsibility from the person asking the question to the recipient. So this was my problem. I don't know how to answer it. I'm giving it to you. Tell me what the answer is. You just can't bring yourself to answer them because it just takes too much effort and energy. And so what happens is when you receive a bad question, it just gets shelved in the pile of things that you can't get around to answering. And when you ask a bad question, you won't get the answer you want. It's much better to use a good structure and framework to make sure that the questions you ask actually get an answer that you want. Okay, so you're going to phrase your question differently depending on the type of question. And this is where my adaptive query framework comes in, because your question is going to be in one of 5 categories, and handily all these categories begin with the letter A. The simplest type of question that you'll ask just needs a factual answer. You need the information, and the person you're asking knows that information. So this should be straightforward. This might be if you're looking for where to find something at work, or you can't remember a dose of a medication. And to get the right answer here, you're going to have to be specific. So the key is just giving the context, giving the facts, making it clear what you want to know, but also highlighting that they can just direct you to another resource, and that's fine. And that would be the quickest outcome. Do you know where I can find this? This way they know that when they give you the answer, you're going to be happy because you've got the factual information that you want. That's very easy. The second type of question is also fairly straightforward. It's where you need affirmation. So that's where you just want to check that your understanding is correct and you're all on the same page to go ahead. And the way to ask this question is to give a short summary and then a positive statement. So here's my understanding of what happened at the meeting last week, and this is what the plan was. Is that correct? That way you don't leave it open to ongoing debate and discussion. You're just saying, this is what we're doing and I just need you to give it the nod. I use this strategy with my kids all the time. So I might say, okay, so we've agreed that you're going to watch YouTube for another 10 minutes and then you're going to do your homework, right? That's affirmation. The third type of question is slightly different from affirmation. It's agreement. It's where you might want something in writing or you might want formal confirmation of something. That might be you need written confirmation that you've got the go-ahead, or you might want to refer back to it later. So here you need to be very clear what you're asking for. We agreed this in principle. I just wanted to clarify it in the email to make sure that we're all happy and on board. Can you confirm that you're happy to go ahead? If you want someone to agree to the question that you're asking, add some sort of personal appeal to agree that makes them want to agree. I think it would be great if we go out for dinner on Thursday. I'd love for you to join. Why don't we do it at 8? It's going to be great fun. Do you want to come? You do want to come. Then we get onto the slightly trickier type of question, which involves a bit more effort in asking it smartly. The next type, which is really common in medicine and healthcare, is when we ask for assistance. We do this all the time when we see patients and we're trying to come up with management plans and we're not sure what the best course of action is. We need assistance. So the key to getting a good answer to this is being very clever and smart about how you're asking the question so that you get a focused answer. What you don't want to do is just say, here's the problem, this is what the patient's problem is, I don't know what to do. What you should be doing is making it as easy as possible for the person to assist you. And you do this by outlining what you found. so far, and also what you've done. So you're showing that you've made an effort to get things moving. You're not just handing the problem over to someone else. So this is the patient I've seen. These are the problems that I have found. These are the options that I think we could go down for the management plan, but I'm not sure which of these options to pick. I was hoping you could give me some advice. What you want to do is to retain ownership of the problem and the question, but just get some input from someone else. And the final and most tricky type of question in my adaptive query framework is asking for advice. So this is when you really have an open problem, you're not sure and you need some guidance, and you would go to someone who's more experienced and ask them for advice. Here you want to be really clear. So you want to give them the context, and you also need them to understand what your priorities are, because there's no point asking for advice and them giving you an answer that is completely irrelevant to you because you've got other priorities. So outline the problem, make it clear what options you're considering and why particular options or pros and cons are problematic for you or are good for you. And be very specific. Are you asking them to make a decision on your behalf? Or are you asking them for advice? As specific as you can be will make it as easy for them to give you an answer, and also as easy for them to give you an answer that's actually useful to you. Also, when you ask people for advice, because it's so broad and it is a time-consuming thing to ask for, you have to give them a way out. Like, do you have time to answer this just now? Don't worry if you're not able to, that's totally fine. If you're not able to help, is there anyone else that you could suggest? So just give them a way out so that they don't have to worry about how to answer or how to avoid answering your question. A great way to make sure you ask good questions and get good answers is about how you conduct yourself during the conversation. And this is applicable to any conversations that you might have in the pub with your friends, talking to your family, talking to your colleagues, or talking to patients. Use silence. Embrace silence. It's okay to pause for a minute and just be quiet. You don't need to jump in with something. That silence gives them time to think, will give them time to give you a better answer to your question, and also gives them time to breathe and reflect. So, a pause is okay, even on YouTube. Secondly, don't interrupt them. It's hard if you're pushed for time and someone seems to be on a monologue and you just want them to stop, but actually, it's much better just to let people talk, let them feel they've had their say and express themselves. And that way you'll be able to get the best out of them, because when it comes to asking them a question, they will then be able to focus on what you're asking them. They'll feel like they've been able to air their view. So try and not interrupt people, just wait for a natural pause in the conversation. And the third thing is mirror the language that your listener's using. And I don't mean copy them, because that's really annoying. I mean reflect the style and tone of the language. So if you're talking to your boss and they're speaking in a particular way or using particular language, you can mirror some of that back to them. Works well with patients, with your friends, with your family. It makes people relax. It makes them feel like you're on the same page. You're going to have a better conversation, and when you're asking questions, they're going to be more in tune with you and you're going to get a better answer. Before you ask your next question, stop and think. Am I asking this question as well as I could do so that I will get the best possible answer that will help me? And if you found this helpful in how to ask better questions, then you might find it helpful to also learn how to say no when you get asked questions that you want to say no to without feeling guilty. So check out my video here on how to say no.